Hi there, theorists. This week we are going to be talking about the rhetorical tradition, readings from classical times to the present, just to briefly touch on the rhetorical aspects of communication theory. If you'd like to know a lot more in depth, Dr. Keel offers a class in rhetorical theory, well, actually in rhetorical criticism, that will teach you more about rhetorical theory. But this particular set of readings for this week gives you just a tiny little taste, a little foundation in rhetorical theory. And I want to start out with this general introduction that talks about what rhetoric is and what it means. And so I want you to read this introductory part. And just like communication and just like theory, rhetoric has lots of different definitions, so I want you to read the part about the definitions there, and also about the origins of rhetoric in ancient Greece. And let's say that we're just essentially going to read down to the bottom of page 2 for being able to answer one of your quiz questions. And then beyond that, things get into more detail. I also want you to read this section on page 3 about the preparation of a speech. This is very similar to something some of you will be teaching in the SPCM 101 class about the canons of rhetoric: invention, arrangement, style, memory, and delivery. And one of your quiz questions will focus on those. And there's a section here on page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, and partway through 7 that focuses on those things. Sorry, my phone's going off in the background. Note to self, don't forget to turn off your phone when you're recording a lecture. Then the last thing I want you to focus on in this reading is at the very, very end, there is just this last paragraph here about the epistemological and ideological orientation of rhetoric, how it's not new, but it's always been concerned with political action and the search for knowledge, and the long history of rhetoric and rhetorical theory. And so I want you to know a little bit about essentially those couple of things, the first page or two, the 5 canons of rhetoric, and then that last paragraph. Now I'm going to go back to the second reading and open it up because there's just a tiny bit there that I would like you to familiarize yourself with for this week's quiz. So open it up, go down a couple of pages, and I'm just waiting for it to catch up with us here. There we go. So I just really want you to read this intro up to the first couple of pages. The major crux or the apex of why I want you to read that first couple of pages of the history of the development of rhetoric or rhetorical theory is because I just think it's absolutely fascinating when this part of the book talks about how Greece is such a small part of the world as far as a body of land that in terms of outreach and in terms of influence they had to look elsewhere. They had to cross bodies of water and to find their influence by conquering other places. And in a related vein, I think it was interesting that they had to develop an alphabet. So to take the spoken tongue and turn it into an artifact, separating a speaking or spoken tradition or an oral tradition, turning it into a language or an object available for later inspection, reflection, and analysis so that it could be rearranged, reordered, and rethought as it says here, to produce forms of statement and types of discourse not previously available because not easily memorizable. And I think that that's something interesting for us to think about, that moving from an oral tradition into the potential for a written tradition is really what altered the course of history in terms of giving us rhetorical study and rhetorical theory, altering our abilities to take on stylistic elements, and really to have connecting and synthesizing back to that first chapter, those 5 canons of rhetoric, to be able to invent and to be able to arrange and all of those things, was aided by being able to write things down and to pass them on and to reflect on them later. So I think that that's very interesting, and that is another quiz question. So, short video for this week, synthesizing the 2 readings. Hope you enjoy your quiz, and I look forward to seeing you in class.